Welcome back to Final Expense Telesales. My name is Dana Neeson, and we are on day 2 of 10 in our Understanding the Sales Process series. And today it will probably end up being my most favorite episode of them all because today we get to talk about discovery. And discovery probably, arguably, is my favorite part of the sales process. It's the most challenging part with people that maybe have walls up and aren't ready to open up yet and get in their feelings. So, we're going to talk about how to handle Miss Betty from Arkansas. And we're also going to talk about how to handle, Mr. John from New Jersey, who's like, don't talk to me about my kids. It's none of your business with a 10-foot pole. So we're going to talk about both of those situations today, how to strategically navigate through both of those, how to handle both of those people and get everything that we need so we can understand how to help someone get the results that they need to protect their family. Welcome to part 2 of Discovery. All right, we are looking at the continuation of the Empower Life script behind me, and we're going to go through discovery as if we had Miss Betty on the phone. This is our ideal final expense client. This is someone that wears their heart on their sleeve, that wants to protect their kids and their grandkids. Heck, it could even be a mister. It doesn't matter. This is someone that's pretty forthright for what they're looking to protect. They're going to tell you their stories about their experiences with it in the past. And you should not look at this person as someone who's a laydown, as someone who just because they wear their heart on their sleeve doesn't mean that they are going to buy today. And it certainly doesn't mean they're going to buy from you. So thinking that this is an easy sale is a mistake. This is the person that you should especially be going through the discovery process with so that you can sharpen your sword and practice your skills. This is the person that you should be absolutely asking these deeper level questions with, getting them to say why, getting comfortable with the answers so you can actually understand what it feels like to go there with someone. And then when you get someone who's more challenging, you can really understand when to pivot because you've done it so many times before. All right, so behind me is the first discovery question that we ask after, is this for you or someone else? And of course, if it's for someone else, please get that person's name, date of birth, find out if they're there, all those fun things. You may have to make adjustments and modifications, but a lot of this one-off higher level sales training we do internally within Power Life Group as a team. So of course, if you want more information on how to join the team and continue to get these higher level sales trainings, my contact information is in the description below. And we do group interviews every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. The first question we ask after who it's for is we always want to understand what caused them to want to get some information on final expense protection in the first place. So I'm just curious, Miss Betty, what kind of had you wanting to get some information on final expense protection today, right? Lots of different ways you can ask this question. You're not married to how exactly it's worded on the script. I just want you to know that we want to find out the motivation behind the inquiry. Okay, we have a little note on here that your answer will likely be surface level. I'm just getting older is the example. You might get, oh, I just saw an ad, right? You might get, well, it's time, or what other surface level reasons can you get? You might even get, we just had a death in the family. Believe it or not, that's a surface level answer. You need to understand what happened that caused them to think that they need to get protection, right? So I give you one example here, which is I'm just getting older. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of people give me that same answer, although the reason is different for everyone. So, I mean, for you, what about getting older or your age now has you thinking that now's the right time to maybe consider putting some coverage in place? So I'm getting the surface level answer of I'm just getting older, but the real answer is what's behind being 78, that maybe he's seen friends and family pass away recently, and we're looking at the outcome of what that has caused the families left behind. Right, so don't get the I'm just getting older and say, oh, okay, makes sense, and then move on to your next question, right? That's a territory for interrogation land. You don't want to be the interrogator that asks a question, gets an answer, says gotcha, asks a question, gets an answer, gotcha, you get the point, right? That's when you're going to start getting in the pattern of, why are you asking me all of these questions? So it's really important as you go through a script and you start understanding a sales process that this isn't just about asking questions and getting answers. It's asking questions, you get surface level answers, and then how can we create some conversation surrounding that surface level answer that bridges us to our next question, so it sounds like we're engaging in an actual conversation, not an interrogation. So that's the first place. How did this inquiry come up in the first place? Okay, now we want to uncover the past. So if you think about discovery in 3 different sections, right? I want to know where someone's been. I want to know their past, what stopped them from putting a policy in place. I want to know where they're at now. Like, what's their financial situation? Are they on a fixed income? Who are they trying to protect? What are their final wishes, right? And then I want to know where they want to be, which is putting that protection in place, how it would impact them personally, how it would impact the beneficiaries that they are trying to protect. All of those things I'm trying to cover as best as I can in discovery. Is it perfect every time? No. It's not perfect every time. There's many times that we have to pivot, and that's where, after I go through this with our Miss Betty example, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of how to pivot with a type A personality, and I call that, we'll call him Matt from New Jersey, right? Those are the people that don't want you to ask any questions. It's none of your business. And I know we all get those. So a mistake that a lot of people make is they just get a script. They just want to download a script and say, oh, I'm just going to read this script and it's going to work for every single person on every single call. And the reality is that couldn't be further from the truth. If you read a script and you stick to it every single time verbatim without understanding why the questions are there, what you're trying to accomplish, when it's appropriate to pivot and come back, and how to manipulate the information on the script to your benefit, then you're always just going to be grabbing low-hanging fruit. Your conversion rate will be subpar, and you will be constantly struggling to be profitable and to really scale this business into its full potential. So, uncovering the past. I want to know where they've been and what stopped them from putting a policy in place before getting on the phone with you. They do not get to 75 years old without ever having to talk to a life insurance agent about putting protection in place. So do not fall for I haven't talked to anybody about this yet. Okay, that's a lie. So an example question up here, I guess so before today, have you kind of already been out there looking for a policy to put in place? We have some yes or no questions. Yes, okay, how long have you been looking? What have you found? What caused you to not move forward? Please let them answer the questions before you ask the next one. How long have you been looking? Guys, I don't care if they say 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, longer than that. My reaction is typically the same. Wow, really? That's actually kind of a long time. I mean, I guess, what have you found? Right? So I'm bridging that. I'm acting surprised. I'm creating doubt that they have dragged their feet on the search process. And then I'm bridging that into my next question of, what have you found? Well, you're going to get surface level answers here too. Usually it's going to be something like, not much, right? When you get a surface level answer of not much, you have to understand what clarifying and probing questions are. So the not much, well, how do you mean not much? Let them clarify. Well, everybody's telling me that I can only get 10,000 of coverage and they want to charge me like $80 a month. Here's another pro tip. Do not react. Do not react and say, oh, wow, that's a lot of money. I can definitely get you something cheaper than that. You want to stay neutral and just write it down. Okay, $10,000 for $80 a month. I guess what about that has you feeling like that might be unaffordable or too expensive? When you stay neutral and you just ask clarifying questions, you will get more information about what motivates this person to make a buying decision. See, making assumptions and thinking that you have the answers and you can get something cheaper, that typically doesn't end up favorable, or you're guessing, right? You're guessing that it's going to work out when the reality is you don't know enough about this prospect yet to be able to react anyway. I don't care if they say that they got quoted $10,000 for $200 a month. You do not react. You stay neutral. Okay? So I just want to figure out where they've been. And I guess what kind of caused you to not move forward? Well, it was too expensive. I'm on a fixed income and I can't afford that much. Well, that makes sense. So what I'm hearing, from this is you really want to put something in place to protect your kids. It's been on your mind for some time, but you're kind of finding that the coverage amounts you're getting don't really justify the monthly payment. And you're trying to figure out how it all works and what makes the most sense. Does it kind of sound like I got that right? So do a little recap, a little summary, make sure that your listening ears are on, let them know that you've heard them, and kind of put them in a place where they feel like maybe they haven't talked to an expert yet, and you're going to be that expert that's going to help clear the air, right? That's your job, to kind of clear the air and make things sound a little bit like they make more sense. So now I'm going to ask some more discovery questions because I've created conversation here. And I might say, now, do you have any existing policies in place? Right? And you have some options if they say yes or no. If they say yes, how much coverage does it provide? Are you looking to increase your total coverage or make sure you aren't overpaying? If they want to increase, I definitely want to know why they feel what they have is not enough. That's an important question, because if you don't ask that, and you're just on the phone with someone that wants more just because, that's really not a huge need. There's not a whole lot of urgency there to change their situation. So you really want to probe there and get them to verbalize why they feel like the coverage amount they have is not enough and why it's important to them to increase more coverage. So we're going to move on in discovery to asking them basically what they want to cover. So is covering the final expenses your primary goal? Yes or no? And to kind of help me understand how much coverage you might need for that, have you given any thought between a traditional burial or a direct cremation? Okay, and if it's affordable, would you like to leave any I love you money behind? Okay, now if they say yes, we don't just go to the next question, right? This is why I don't like scripts. This is why I don't like to download scripts. The team at Empower Life Group, we get a lot of training and coaching surrounding how to bring the script to life, right? Because it would be impossible for anybody to script a perfect conversation with tons of sub-questions surrounding that, right? Think about the work that it takes to create a script and how many variables a conversation can have, how many different directions it can take. I mean, you'd be like on a choose your own adventure script that would be 1,000 pages long. So if someone says they want to leave extra money behind, okay, and we want to find out, how much extra maybe they might want to leave. Well, who do you want to leave it to? My kids. Oh, how many kids do you have? Let's talk about that for a moment, right? Let's get them to kind of verbalize what's going on with their kids and why it's important for them to leave them some money. And again, create conversation surrounding the answers to these questions. That's how you will get more quality conversation. Another thing that's actually not even in this script, you only get this if you're in my coaching calls or if you happen to be watching this video, is we want to find a place to insert a third-party story or a personal story. And I don't have it on the script because it actually doesn't follow a specific prompt. Like, here's where you should insert your third-party story every single time. It's when you feel like it's appropriate, right? Maybe if someone is not opening up to you early on, you could insert your story. Or if someone just opened up to you, you can share back and share a third-party story. So what do I mean when I say a third-party story? Well, My third party story is something that's personal to me, right? Well, I just like to share with you, Miss Betty, that the reason that I do what I do is because when my grandmother passed away at 83 years old, we all thought she had life insurance. And when she finally passed, I was in charge of pulling the paperwork for her life insurance policy, and I discovered that she had a policy that canceled when she turned 80. And nobody knew. In fact, I would guess she didn't even know. And if she did, she really wasn't in the right state of mind in her last couple of years of life to really even pay attention to that. And when we realized that we had nothing to honor her final wishes, it was devastating for all of us. And the last thing that I want to have happen is to, have that happen to other people and other families. So I really appreciate you sharing your story with me today, and hopefully we can find something that makes sense. Now, in our team, we go around the room and we share our third-party stories so that if you don't have one, you could borrow one from somebody else. So my recommendation would be get with your group, get with your team, share some third-party stories out loud, and find something that will allow you to connect on a personal level with the client that you're on the phone with. Okay, so now we're going to ask, speaking of those you love, who will be the person responsible for going down to the funeral home, meeting with that funeral director, and making all the decisions associated with your funeral? Oh, that'll probably be my oldest daughter, right? Okay, so it seems important that your daughter, your oldest daughter, of course, that she doesn't have to come out of pocket and pay for anything. Is there something going on with your daughter that makes you think she wouldn't be able to pay for it if she had to? Right? Now, this question can be asked in a lot of different ways. I chose to ask it in this way because it felt the most comfortable to me. Again, we talk about on the team lots of different variations on how you could ask this question. What we're trying to do here, the goal of the outcome I'm trying to get from this, is to try to get them to verbalize that without this money, their family would struggle. Right? That's what I need to get them to say. And what that's going to do is starting to create urgency to make a change right now. Because you might have someone on the phone that tells you out of the gate, I really need life insurance. And then you get to the end and you give them the price and they say, I want to shop around. I want to think about it, because they don't have any urgency to do it right now. So that's the importance of asking these questions, is we have to get people into their feelings so we can get them through this like emotional pendulum where they want to make a decision and make a change today with you. Of course, that's the goal. It's also good to reframe them as somebody who does take on that responsibility and protect their kids. So there's a note in here. So as a mother, right, it sounds important to you that your family is not left with the burden of having to scramble finances together or figure things out. It sounds like money is the last thing you want them to have to worry about when that time comes. Because a lot of people, we get on these calls with them and they're just shopping for price, but it actually sounds like you're ready to protect your family, right? So I'm saying this is who you're not, this is who you are, and kind of get them to start associating with the type of person that protects their family and doesn't just shop for quotes. All right, then we're going to start future pacing them. I'm going to start getting them to think about what life looks like now that their policy is in place, right? So let's pretend we do get this in place today. Your coverage is active, your plan is locked in. How would that help your oldest daughter the most when that time comes? Now they're going to tell me, oh man, it would make her feel so much better, so much more relieved if she didn't have to worry about coming out of pocket with that money or going around and asking the family. And for you, right? Not just for your daughter. I mean, what would that do for you personally to know that as the mother and head of the household, you took on that burden of responsibility to get this handled and you're no longer leaving it to somebody else? Right? Now I'm going to ask, what does that do for you, taking on that responsibility? And right there, I'm going to bridge into the consequence question, which is the final piece of discovery today. And I'm going to take it all away, right? I'm going to kind of create that fear of loss moment, which is, let's pretend you didn't put anything in place, right? Or you pushed the decision and passed away without any protection at all, right? Like, is there a plan B? You have anything that they could rely on, any savings, any investments, and kind of let them sit in the uncomfortable reality that if they don't get something, their family has nothing. And you'll create conversation around that too. And then finally, you're going to end with a check-in question, right? So if we could lock in this peace of mind for you today, assuming, of course, we can find something comfortable and affordable, how would that feel to know that it's finally taken care of? Oh, that would feel so great. It would give me the peace of mind that I've really been missing. Okay, now that is your discovery for your perfect cookie cutter client. Okay, now we're going to talk about what if you get a type A personality from New Jersey, from New York, someone who's like, get to the point, give me the quote. And the reality is that if you've ever played an instrument before, or if you've ever memorized a play or a scene to a movie, or if you ever had to memorize anything, one of the tricks that they tell you to memorize something is try to memorize things out of order. So that if I were to say, you start here, like section 3, you could start at section 3 and go right back to section 1 if you need to. And that's what I want to try to get you to understand here as we continue these lessons. If I'm early in discovery and I'm getting immediate pushback from someone with asking these questions, I don't want to force someone to have a conversation they're not ready to have, right? In my book club a few months ago, I talked about the book Super Communicators, written by Charles Duhigg. And he talks a lot about you need to focus on having the type of conversation that your customer needs to have. So if you have someone that comes in and wants to have a logic-based conversation and you come in trying to get an emotion-based conversation out of them, all that's going to cause is friction and frustration, and your call will end and you're going to say the script didn't work or these leads suck. When the reality is you need to recognize that you're on the phone with someone that isn't ready to have an emotion-based conversation. They need to justify that you have to earn the right to ask those questions so that they can get more vulnerable with you. And that takes you being an expert. And so you have to pivot, right? You have to pivot and understand that someone who wants to have a logic-based conversation may need you to start with credibility and education first so you can show them that you are an expert in what you do, and then pivot back and create doubt and uncertainty through discovery. You have to earn the right to get to discovery. You don't force someone into a conversation they are not ready to have. So in the next video, we're going to be talking about credibility and education. And you need to know that there's some people that need to start there, right? There's some people that need to start there. And once you finish that, which we're not going to dive into today because today's video is just discovery, right? But on video 3, when we go to credibility and education, we may need to start with some surface level discovery questions like, what kind of got you interested in looking at this? Is it for you or someone else? Have you ever had it before? Not too deep emotion-based questions, not too many why questions, or getting them to reflect on the emotion of what it would cause to have it or not have it. We pivot. You go to credibility, you go to education, you give them something of value for free from you without asking for anything in return, and then you try to bridge back to where we were today. I hope you took really good notes, and I hope after watching this video, heck, you might even have to go back and watch it 2, 3, 4, 5 times and pick up on things that you didn't hear the first time. If you can master discovery and you can start to picture this journey as identifying clues that you need to uncover so that you can understand how to avoid objections at the end and exactly how to help somebody based on the unstated and stated needs of your clients, the rest of the sales process is so much easier. If you have any questions or if you enjoyed this content, please post a comment below. Of course, please give this video a like. Hey, share it with someone. It'll help the algorithm have this video reach a wider audience. And I will see you on the next video for part 3.